With the Bitcoin ETF a matter of days away, it begs the question, is this going to be a sell the news event? Let's get into it. Hello, my name is JT and you're watching Black Box Trading, your source for no-nonsense crypto, fundamental and technical analysis, and the home of the Bitcoin trading bot. Buy the bottom, sell the tops, and never miss a move again with Black Box. More information linked down below. Let's talk about the ETF. So there are basically two scenarios that we are looking at. We are either going to get an ETF delay, in which price will drop because people are impatient and they don't want to wait for things, or we're going to get a ETF approval, where I also think the price will drop. Let's talk a little bit about the technicals behind those two statements. So here's a little article on Cointelegraph talking about the spot ETF approval still happening by January 10th. So, we will see what will happen as a result of that. But I want to talk a little bit about liquidity and whales and why these bullish news events typically result in downside moves. Before I get into that, I just want to kind of talk about, this area back here. This was the 2017 peak. Now, the narrative around this peak, the narrative that was the result of this entire rally here, was talking about the CME futures launching Bitcoin trading. This was an institutional, recognized financial hub that was allowing for Bitcoin trading. This was adding a lot of legitimacy to Bitcoin, and the expectation upon that news, or upon the approval of that, was that we were going to blast the heck off, right? We were going to go to the moon as a result of that. But what actually ended up happening is the day that it was approved was also the top of the market, and we entered a bear market. So this is an example of, the herd being wrong and the sentiment being wrong. Now, another event back here, this is, the pandemic shakeout. The whole world was ending. Like, this was the announcement of lockdowns, and there was a stock market crash, and there was a whole bunch of shit that happened on this day. And the assumption in everybody's mind is, well, we've got way lower to go than this. This is just the beginning. But the reality is it marks the beginning of the bull market, and we headed into a huge parabolic rise in all assets, stocks and crypto alike. Then we had another example of negative news here. We had Terra Luna and FTX both collapsing with Celsius and everything, and everybody was freaking out, saying that's it, crypto's done, we're heading to much lower levels, we'll see you at 5K. And what ended up happening is that marked the bottom of the bear market, and we've been in a bull market for a year ever since, and currently up on that position from that low, 189%. So the herd is often wrong. The herd is often going to get the narrative incorrect. But why is that? What's actually happening in the market to facilitate a bottom coming in, and what's happening in the market to facilitate a top? That's what I'm going to talk about today. And it has to do with whales and large accounts. And it's not easy for them to buy, and it's not easy for them to sell. So a whale has no choice, really, but to sell on the way up, because they don't have the luxury of watching the market turn to the downside and watching liquidity dry up and having the ability to sell. Basically, a whale cannot sell as soon as a bear market is confirmed. If a whale finds themselves in a bear market, they are stuck in that position. Why? Because every time you want to sell something, there needs to be a buyer. And because these accounts are so large, there is no buyer that can facilitate that buy, or there's not enough retail demand to facilitate that buy. So the whale has no choice. They don't get to search for top signals. They just get to work off of feel. They're like, okay, well, things are really bullish. I need to take this opportunity to unload onto retail because I'm not going to have an opportunity once the market is flooded with supply. And they cause the top. That's what causes the top, is the whale having the ability to sell on bullish sentiment is what causes the top to come in, because the market gets flooded with supply. The order books get stacked with a ton of supply and not a lot of demand, and inevitably the price enters a markdown period. The inverse is also true when you're on the downside move. So, if a whale wants to take a position in Bitcoin, they can't just take a position willy-nilly. If they want to, get liquidity, especially in a bear market where, things are becoming less liquid, they need an event. They need fear in the markets. They need retail to capitulate and give up. And it's only in that context of extreme fear where people are just going to sell at any price. They don't care that the whale has the ability to pick it up. It has the ability to buy those orders. So it's a very interesting and weird market dynamic that causes these reversals counter to that of sentiment. Extremely negative events usually mark bottoms. Extremely positive events usually mark tops, for no other reason than just the ratio of supply and demand. Okay. So with that in mind, understanding those dynamics and the fact that we're up 189%, let's say a whale wants to take a little bit of profit. They want to, continue to pay for rent living on an island somewhere for the next 5 years. For them to take profit, there needs to be demand. There needs to be high amounts of demand. And what is going to be a high demand environment? It's going to be up here, especially in the context of an ETF approval. So in the coming days, if we see ourselves with an ETF approval, I see an event, a liquidity event that is going to allow the whales who are in profit the ability to take profits. When they take the profits, the market is going to be flooded with supply, but the effects of the supply are not going to take effect right away. But the FOMO and the anticipation and the excitement of the event is going to be enough demand to fill the orders of smart money. Okay, so that smart money can take profits. And that's going to take a while to digest. So once that occurs, the market's going to trade sideways with a little bit of down. There's going to be a correction, and there's going to be a sideways accumulation as a result of whales taking profits, because they're going to flood the market full of supply. The ETF, in my opinion, is going to mark that point in the market. They just don't have any other choice. If they have a plan to sell, if they have a plan to take profits, they can only do so in the context of FOMO, because that's the most liquid days of the market. So what's that going to look like? So what I anticipate happening is a move that will be surprising. I think we're going to break past 48K. I think we might even get into the low to mid 50s, and we're going to stall. Okay. All of Twitter will be in an uproar. We will be like, yes, this is going to be the first time that we break the all-time high before the halving, blah, 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 blah. Everybody's going to be super, super excited, and we're going to stall. And then we're going to come down and we're going to retest here at around 48K. And that's going to be your buy the dip. Okay. This is not going to be the actual dip, because when Bitcoin corrects, it typically corrects about 30%. So taking a measured move from, let's say, $55,000, a 30% move is going to bring us right back down to this support range here at around 37,000. So what I anticipate happening, let's actually back up some of these, is we probably get a move like this, where you get the announcement of an approval, you get a dip where everybody says, buy the dip, and then we're going to fall. And we're going to end up at a lower price than when the ETF was approved. Then we're going to consolidate through the halving. And this is where we build our next base. We're going to consolidate through the halving. The halving is going to be quite boring. Bitcoin's not going to do a lot. You might see a little bit of altcoin outperformance, so we will cover that. Be sure to hit the subscribe button if you're new here. We're going to be covering the alts as soon as they show the ability to outperform. But yeah, I think we're going to trade sideways out through the halving. We're going to reach levels lower than a lot of people are going to be prepared for. We're going to have liquidation events, and we're going to have high volume days that are going to really Bitcoin's going to change a lot of hands in the coming weeks as we go into the new year. Once we're in the halving, you're going to have the supply shock of the halving. You're going to have the supply shock of ordinals, and you're going to have the fundamental demands of an ETF finally begin to take shape, and the market will have digested the supply from the whales taking profits, and then we can carry on to the next impulse to the upside. And that next impulse is going to break prior all-time highs. It's going to break probably $100,000, which is going to cause a huge media frenzy, yada, 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 yada. But the short term is what I want to focus on here, where I think we're going to get a pop, a stall, and a dump. And most retail traders are not going to be prepared for that scenario. That's it. Let me know what you think in the comments section down below. Do you think that this is a likely scenario? Do you think that maybe too many people are thinking that it's going to be a pop and flop, sell the news event? Leave your comments down below. Or better yet, join the Discord. If you're not already in the Discord server, go ahead and check out the website. Go to blackbox.pro. That's BLKBöX.pro. No, I will not be putting the Discord link in the show notes because there are too many scammers and spam bots. Go ahead, go to the website and click the Join Community tab. That will give you a link to the Discord where we're, sharing ideas, thoughts, alpha, ordinal strategy, yada, yada, yada. Yada, yada, yada. And while you're there, go ahead and set up an account with Blackbox, where we are buying the bottoms and selling the tops of every single macro move. This is a fine-tuned bot designed specifically for Bitcoin and Bitcoin's biggest moves. So never miss a move again with Blackbox. Totally free information down below. And that's it. That's all the time I got for today. So if you enjoyed this content, please leave it a like. Don't forget to subscribe. And until next time, please trade safe. It is a jungle out there. Peace.